Do as a clap, Glenn. It's Monday, the 5th of August 2019. In today's show, we review Blackpool's fine 2-0 season curtain-raising victory against Bristol Rovers. The day itself, we have Glenn Kirkham from Game Jam HD, and we also catch up with all your comments on the game. I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders podcast, episode 133. Rovers reviewed. All you Seasiders out there, welcome back to Seasiders podcast. We're thinking it's episode 133, aren't we? Or is it 134?
I thought it was 134, but...
Come on, Tim, you're the numbers man round here, the guy, the attention to detail.
I will go for 134 and probably be proven to be completely wrong.
What are you going for, Nick?
I haven't got a clue.
Look a number out there. So that was Nick and Tim. I'm sure you know their voices by now. We've got a new voice on, Mr. Glenn Kirkham, who is responsible for some fine Blackpool Oyston related songs, aren't you, Glenn?
Propaganda is probably a more accurate word.
Can you just tell us a bit about yourself, about your YouTube channel, and how you've come to the forefront of some Blackpool fans' minds on the Twitter platform and a few others?
To be honest, it's not a massive market, is it? So I basically wrote some songs about Blackpool, most of them negative towards the Oystons, which in hindsight, looking back, I kind of regret a little bit. Like I'm not massively proud of it.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I just like if my kids watch that, I don't know. I feel a little bit disappointed. Anyway, we did loads of song parodies and things like that. Did a lot of FIFA-based stuff online. Grew the channel quite large and became a bit of a focal point, I think, online for supporters of other teams outside of Blackpool to see what was really going on at Blackpool. So I kind of feel like I waved the flag a little bit on really the problems associated with grassroots football itself.
So did you get any mileage in the comments from other supporters, from the strength of your channel? Did people actually speak to you and say what's going on and what's this song about, kind of thing?
Absolutely. Well, the Venkies are a huge symbol of exactly the same issue. So I think when you kind of live in your ivory tower of being a Liverpool fan or a Man City fan or a Man United fan, I suppose you don't get the same spotlight on you that we get with regards to the problems that are actually that we faced for so many years. You know, I'm in my early 30s now, and I've always kind of been disgruntled with where Blackpool have been, and even in the Premier League era, it was still a facade over what was ultimately a very significant problem with football generally. And obviously you guys doing the EFL marches and things like that, I think everybody as a community kind of came together to show the wider world, the bigger footballing world, where the issues were in football today.
Great. So let's rewind a bit to your history as a Blackpool supporter. We always do this with new guests. So how long have you been supporting Blackpool for, and how did you end up being a Blackpool fan in the first place?
Just probably the same as everyone else. Went down to the ground with my dad, who's a Blackpool fan, and his dad's a Blackpool fan. And just, I think it's the colour. It's funny, I lived in London for 8 years. And I
used to live there for 7.
Did you?
Yeah, you beat me by 1 year.
Yeah, and I never met another Blackpool fan when I was there, but any football fan, they say, who do you support? You say Blackpool, and everyone's got a positive message to say about Blackpool. There's something about the colour, there's something about the bright lights and roller coasters that captures people's imaginations. I mean, it's not been as romantic on the pitch, has it, for the last 10 years, but there's always a special place in my heart for Blackpool, cool. Definitely.
So is any, what's your most memorable home and away game we normally say? Probably to put you on the spot there. Or can you remember your first ever game? Any particular memories?
No. I remember Andy Priest once McElhargy rolled the ball out to Andy Priest, and he took on pretty much the whole team and scored. I can't remember who it was against. I think it might have been Darlington for some reason, but that was incredible. Away, Wembley. Yeah. It's got to be. Probably a better day of my life than my kids being born, I'd say. It's up there.
Well, when we won at Wembley that time, she actually said to me, "This is the best day of my life." She's the best, it's the best day of my life, and yes, That includes getting married and having kids.
Every credit.
Yeah, my dad taught as well.
I think a woman gets away with that easier than a bloke, doesn't she? Say something like that. I think.
Yeah.
So, do you concur to that viewpoint, Tim, of the Wembley game?
The Wembley 2010 was a very, very special day. Particularly, the whole day for me was just quite surreal.
I think there's a politician's answer coming out here.
But,
It's a yes or no answer, please, sir.
But I've got some old school games that still resonate with me more than Wembley. I don't know why. Darlington away. Darlington crops up. Darlington away.
Yeah, it comes up a lot, that, doesn't it?
In 1985, that was something else. Mainly because most of us have been watching football because I started the first year in the third division, and we'd never seen Blackpool get promoted, and that was we didn't actually get promoted that night, but it was as near as we actually got promoted on the Friday by default when Hereford didn't win, I think. But that game always sticks in my mind. And my first trip to Deepdale as well in the FA Cup in '82. But Wembley's still very, very high up there, although I still have it behind Forest as well in the semi-final.
That was an incredible game.
Just because I thought the football in that was just sublime. Yeah. And we went into the Lions' den to win that one, really did. So, but yeah, it's a good choice.
Do you feel like that season when we went into the Premier League, if that hadn't have happened, do you believe that the end of the Oyston reign would have come sooner? Because it was, I almost felt like the Premier League, even though it was absolutely amazing, it kind of put off for a few more years the inevitable situation that was going to happen.
There is a different school of thought there, a train of thought, that the fact that we got to the Premier League led to the Oystons doing what they did. I.e., illegitimately asset stripping.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened if we weren't in the Premier League.
No, it was never great. But there wasn't that paying themselves 11 million quid because there wasn't that money available. I think they always ran it in a way that we could be cheesed off about, but probably not to the point where, like you'd sell, going back, Trevor Sinclair, Brett, all of that money were like, where did it go? But you never thought about stopping going. And I think, like you say, getting to the Prem, I think suing fans was the tipping point for a lot of people and a big part of the Not a Penny More movement.
But I think if we hadn't gone to the Premier League, I think they'd still be in situ, the Oystons now, because the court case wouldn't have happened, would it?
No. And they'd still just be doing what they were doing.
Yeah, we'd be stuck with them. And conversely, I think if we'd have beaten West Ham in that game, I think they'd still be here as well, because...
Which we should have done.
But, again, in hindsight, it's good that we lost that.
Yeah, because another 100 million or whatever... we'd still be going through it all, wouldn't we?
Yeah, definitely. Right, anyway, on to more happier topics. Let's go on to Saturday. Tim spoke of sublime football. We did witness a lot on Saturday. But just before we go on about the game, what did we do before the game? So what was our routines, pubs, where we went before and after the game? So Nick, you can come in on this first.
Well, I went to the Excelsior for an hour or so.
With all the other muckers,
with a few of my friends, and then I was in the 53 lounge this season.
Which one is that now? Not being privy to corporate, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny entrance. It's almost like that platform in Harry Potter. You kind of don't really realise it's there. Secret entrance. Where we used to protest, you look to your right. There's kind of a door at this side of the walkway, the west. You go through there and up and over into this lounge, and it's a really good setup. They've got all like the Sky TV in there and stuff, a bar, so we had something to eat, and then went in again at half time and had a good chat to Brett and GTF, which was really great.
They're ambassadors now, aren't they?
They are, yeah. So we got talking to Brett. He had a lot to say about the previous regime that we won't go into on here.
Yeah, you should have taken an audio recorder.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of beeps on it. It's a family show, but yeah,
no, it's not.
So it was really, really good. You can tell they've put a lot of effort into it, and it was a really good setup.
So you get food, all that?
Yeah, something to eat before the game, and a few drinks.
What was on the menu?
It was, what did we have? Caesar salad to start.
Oh, Tim, it sounds right up your street.
Then a bit of roast beef, and then some nice cakes for dessert. So, yeah, it was good.
Any free beer?
Not free beer. Well, very reasonably priced, I have to say.
Right. What sort of beer is it?
Amstel.
So it's not like the shite that they serve on the kiosks and the bottle ones.
Nice.
Yeah,
They've changed. They've changed suppliers. Actually, that was the first game with the new suppliers in. So it's Foster's and Heineken now, isn't it?
I stand by my previous comment.
Yeah, so it was a really, really good day. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Tim, what did you get up to?
We met in the thatched house, aka Tory Corner.
Who's we?
Myself and Ashley Knowles, Polton Bus, and a few of his schoolmates, and
How did you?
a couple of other guys who I go walking with, and just had a quick one there, and then we got a cab down to George's place on Whitegate Drive, number 10, and then we took the open.
Oh, you on the open top bus?
Yeah.
I'd like to have been on that.
So we got the open top bus in and got away from Simon and as we
Did you
drove
really?
past, yeah, and escorted him by the muckers.
I heard you arriving because obviously we were in the lounge and the windows were open and we just heard all of this commotion. And I thought, what's going on?
And you saw Tim leading the charge.
Saw the bus pulling up.
You just got to think Cliff Richard's summer holiday, and then with some ultra firm walking in front of you.
It's like summer holiday, but with an edge. My sister was in town, with her 2 kids, and I took Eddie, a 6-year-old. So obviously ours was a bit more toned down than yours. I parked up near Aldi, so the only place we could kind of get in was the Royal Oak of all places. My God, have you ever been in there recently?
It's right next to my office, and no.
You picked a funny pub there, John.
There's some strange people going there. It's like kind of society's misfits, or like ganging up in there. And they've got a pool. They've got like a snooker table, and they've got like an A4 sign with a printout saying "Executive Area." And I swear to God, it's like something off Phoenix Nights.
Brilliant.
You need to have membership to get in. It's just an area where you walk in, just equally as dossy as the rest of it. And the guy, that was another thing. We were sat near the door, and there was a guy in a wheelchair, and with a couple of other people, and he did the foulest smelling fart I've ever smelled in my entire life. It was like worse than a sewer. I said to move. So I've got to move. I can't sit here. I heard the, and he did another. It was. We had to move anyway. So we had to move, and that's when we made our way to the executive area of the Royal Oak. So yeah, you should check it out.
I won't do.
Of course, I can only have 1 pint as well. So that kind of
You've got the Dog and Partridge across the road.
Well, you don't let kids in.
No kids.
Yeah, the Dog's one of my favourite pubs actually. I quite like it in there. It's cheap, and there's a lot of Blackpool fans in there, and there's a good atmosphere. Beer's all right. The beer's very good actually. But yeah, actually the beer was all right in this place. But the clientele and the general atmosphere left a lot to be desired. So we walked down Lytham Road, queued up in the kind of southwest corner, and again we heard all this commotion coming down Bloomfield Road. It's like something out of an army marching, wasn't it?
I think the police were trying to usher the muckers to the side, and then there's I saw it on Twitter today because I was actually at the back of the bus rather than the front, and I saw somebody done a video from the front, and you've got Grimmy there pushing them all back into the middle of the road, basically to make sure that they led the bus in. But it was good fun. It was a little bit different. And it was a nice way just to arrive on the day, and something you remember.
Is that going to be a regular thing from the AL? Is it the number 10?
Number 10. I think it was just because it was the first game. George just decided to put it on. It was free to go on. You just had to get a little token when you got to the pub, because obviously you had to control the numbers going on there. And but it's obviously he's got a nice setup there, and nice beer and a selection of other stuff, bit of food. So it was good, and it was a nice sunny day, so you can stand outside. It was quite pleasant.
I think we've lined up our next guest for the podcast, haven't we? The owner of the number 10 Ale House, subject to a couple of backhanders to get him on air.
He's always there in his tangerine suit, isn't he? He did the same thing with the bus. The game after the Oystons left, so was it like with 5 games to go before the end of the season last season? He's a massive Blackpool fan, a really nice guy. Yeah,
he was all tangerine suited up, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe he borrowed it off VB. He's got no use for it anymore.
It's like a bigger Bellicon.
Right, Glenn, what was your routine.
I was hoping that you wouldn't ask me, actually, because I'm
Don't tell me you didn't go.
Well, no, I'm just going to sound like I'm not a Blackpool fan at all, but I've just bought a house. So I'm trying to get broadband put into this house. And they said to me that we'll be there between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Oh. And they turned up. And my whole thing was, if they're not there by 2:15, I'm off. And they turned up like right on the dot. And the guy like had a massive beard, like loads of tattoos all over him, and he's like, oh, right, okay, so starts drilling into walls and stuff. And I'm like, if you've got to drill into walls, it's not going to be a 2-minute job, is it? And then he's like, so what are you going to connect to your internet? And I'm like, well, a computer and a phone. He's like, oh, computer, what games do you play? And I'm like, it's not the time for this, pal.
Yeah.
So anyway, I walked down to the ground. I didn't know you were on the bus, Tim, but I walked down to the ground. I saw the open top bus.
Yeah.
And I got there at about 22. I did a whole circuit of the stadium because I didn't realise that the ticket office was at the front.
Oh, right.
So I ended up walking.
Oh, you didn't have your tickets either?
No, I had to buy them. Do you know what? To be fair, the queue wasn't that big to buy a ticket.
But to get in.
Was ridiculous because it was turnstiles 15, 16 and 17. And there was an ambulance there. I don't know what happened, but someone got taken away in an ambulance. So the police had moved everyone to just 15.
Is this the north you're talking about?
No, this is the south.
No, this is the south. Right, okay.
So there's just a queue right the way pretty much right the way down to like where hospitality is on the west. And there's a smattering of people trying to get into 16 and 17. And
I think it was a guy that had...
He had a heart attack.
Yeah, he was being given CPR and...
Wow.
He had the defibrillator on him.
Yeah,
really?
I gather he's...
He's all right.
On the road to recovery.
That's
so
good.
we wish him well. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got to say, apparently they were saying that the first aid response from the club stewards was
brilliant.
unbelievable.
The Blackpool fan was helping as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, out of this world. But overall, I mean, I think...
So you were straight in the ground though, were you? Pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I got to my seat with about 3 minutes to go. So I didn't enjoy any of the festivities that you guys did prior to the match.
Tell you what, Glenn, you missed out from where I went.
Yeah.
You missed out big time, not going to the Royal Oak.
See, it's interesting because from a stewarding perspective, you think, well, they've never had to deal with this volume of numbers before because for however many years, there's been... 1,000 people, 2,000 people, and then suddenly you're going to be bombed every week. How do you prepare yourself for that?
Has the stewarding been told to book their ideas up, Tim, or be not as confrontational or be nicer? Because I sort of remember reading that somewhere, and I thought these lot don't look as kind of aggressive or up for a fight kind of thing. So
I think there's been a service provision change, as in I think.
Completely new people.
I believe they got completely new organisations.
Right, well, I noticed the difference. I don't know if anyone else did.
I didn't have any reason to engage with stewards, to be honest. The north was it was a bit problematic getting in the north, but I think it was a combination of various things. One, at the moment, they were making you use the turnstiles that your season ticket was allocated to, which I think will be slackened from moving forward because. It doesn't make any sense not to use empty turnstiles as long as there's no health and safety issue. And also, I think there's a lot of people who are taking. I don't think the card readers are possibly working as well as they could do, or people aren't using them because they're not used to having the season ticket. And it seems to be taking every 5 goes so where you would normally get 2 or 3 people through. Yeah. And it was taking a lot longer in the north for some reason. So
my cousin went there and he said it was an absolute nightmare getting in.
I didn't get in. We started queuing up. Must have been about 25 to 3, and I didn't get in until 3 minutes past.
Oh.
Rather bizarrely, the game actually kicked off early.
Yeah.
And we only really noticed because you were still outside because. It was like 2:58 and we were getting close to the front and everybody had the phones out and it was everybody had the same time. It wasn't like your watch running fast and the game had actually started at 2:58, which is I've never known
Bizarre.
ever.
It's usually late, isn't it? If anything.
Yeah. So anyway, listen, it's it was a reasonably big turnout. Lots of people with new season tickets, and I think there's a combination of people needing to get there perhaps a little bit earlier, and I think they will. I believe I got told today, and I haven't seen it on social media myself. That there's actually a promotion on where you can use your season ticket card to get like cheaper drinks if you get in before a certain time.
Can you really?
So that might encourage a few people to turn up a bit earlier. And I think as a club we can try and put stuff on that actually encourages you to get in for 2:15, 2:30, rather than everybody turning up at 2:30, 2:45.
What's the situation with? So I've just bought a ticket, an outright ticket, 20 quid, adult ticket for whatever. I was in block X. It was all right seat, as it turns out. But I was talking to the lady as I was buying my ticket, and I said, if I buy a season ticket now, I assume that this £20 is going to come off the overall price of the season ticket, and it would just fall consecutively as the amount of games that you miss out on as having a season ticket. And she said, no, it's going to remain the same price. So I wonder if the club have any anticipation of reducing it at certain points throughout the year, because I know a lot of people who want to go but just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't get a season ticket.
It serves them right. There's your answer.
If you're not going to commit, you're not having one. You're not having a discount.
It's something that's most certainly, I think, can be looked at. And so the interesting thing is, I keep still getting asked to do things and go and speak to things that, about issues that arise. But of course, we've now got our supporters liaison officer, and having been the person who set up the spec for the role and dealt with the board in relation to the implementation of the role, they're treating it really seriously. And Steve Rowland, who's he's got a team working under him as well, who cover each stand on days. They're actually going to have a lot of face-to-face contact with the decision makers of the football club. Yeah. So anybody has issues like that out there, just raise them with Steve, and he's everybody knows how diligent he is. These things will be raised with the club, and it's not just going to be swept under the carpet.
What's a good thing about having a proper SLO, isn't it? We're going to be hearing from Steve later on. We've got a little interview with him that we're going to be playing. Right, should we crack on to the game itself? Right, Bristol Rovers at home, first game of the season. Blackpool lined up as follows. Correct me if I pronounce these wrong. Alnwick.
Anik.
Okay.
Good start.
1 out of 1. Turton, Husband, Tilt, Edwards, Spearing, Thompson, Feeney, Kai. That's 2 for 2. Delfonso and Nangele. Nick, first thoughts on when you saw the team sheet?
I was a little bit surprised maybe Nuttall hadn't started, but then I thought he signed quite late in the day, didn't he? And Larry had probably already worked on his formation and who his starting 11 was going to be. And to be fair, you can't argue with it because thought they all had a great game. Nangele in particular up front. I think that's the best I've seen him play. He was really, really good. So you could tell, I think Jim, who's sat next to me, who I go with, he said after 10 minutes, you can tell the difference from last season, from the home games already. It was just, the Bristol Rovers had the better start, but
the personnel wasn't that different though, was it?
No.
It didn't make a huge rapid changes, did he?
No, but you could tell we're just playing a different style of football.
Yeah.
I thought defensively we looked very, very professional in the way that we set about the way we played, and I thought Tilt was immense. But you look all across that back four, and I didn't think you saw a weak link. Even Husband, who's just come in and still settling in, you can tell he's an accomplished fullback and who really knows what he's doing. And I thought the keeper had a good solid game as well for his debut.
I thought Feeney did really well first half. He made some really good runs, trying to take his man on. I was quite impressed with him as well. Spearing just keeps it simple, doesn't he? And and tidies up and keeps the play going. Like I say, I think they had the better start. Probably the first 15 minutes, they had that chance, didn't they?
Hit the post.
The post. Obviously, that's gone, and it could have been a different game. But after that, I think that was a bit of a wake-up call for us, and we just, we took over from there. Really,
my man of the match from Saturday, and it's a bit controversial, was Husband. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. If you look at any successful team over the last 20, 30, 40 years, it all starts at the back. You've got to have a solid defence. I agree with you, Tim. We looked fantastic. Probably, from what I can tell, the best Blackpool defence we've had in a great number of years. But Husband looks like, as soon as I saw him, because I've never seen him play live before, like the games that I've been to, I've never seen him play. He reminds me a bit of Andrew Robertson. The way that he moves and the way that he looks to get forward, and I think in the modern the modern game.
It's what you need.
You need it. Yeah, you need it. It was funny. I was telling my lad last week about how if you look at like the United team of the early 90s,
Dennis Irwin.
Yeah, they're all like quite big lads, aren't they? They're quite big units. And now it's a real athletic position to play. Guys like when we had Stephen Craney and people like they're not really athletic players, but now I feel like we've got some young lads who are looking to go forward, and it's a crucial part of the game.
The new signing Edwards, I thought he had a really good game as well, really solid at the back and putting in a lot of blocks, and he didn't live up to Abel's description, did he?
No, we had Abel's very harsh critiques of our new signings.
we had someone from the message boards review the incoming players.
Right,
they were very harsh. Really.
Oh, were they?
What's keeper's name again?
There's a few, obviously.
He said the keeper doesn't command his area very well, but I thought he did.
Yeah.
Should we go on to game then? Let's kind of picked out the highlights. So obviously they've hit the post after 8 minutes. It was one of those ones where it's always going more wide than going in, though, wasn't it? But it was a good wake-up call.
Yeah, it was, definitely.
Next kind of main, there wasn't a lot to see. It was kind of more of attrition until 28 minutes. I think two teams was trying to establish themselves, and the penalty cross into the box, and their keeper decided to use Curtis Telt's head as a punch bag.
It's just one of them, innit? He's going for the ball, completely missed it, and just sparked him.
He was miles away.
Yeah.
I was right in front of it. He was absolutely miles away.
Yeah.
He was deliberating with the ref after, and he was arguing, going, "I didn't touch him." And you're like, "You played."
Were you right on him then? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
behind your viewpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it was a stonewall. It was criminal if it wasn't given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get arrested for GBH if it wasn't a penalty.
It was funny. I feel like up to that point, I suppose you kind of make the comparison to someone like Man City. Teams get closed down all the time very quickly in the modern game, and someone like City always seems to be able to find the space. And I felt like Blackpool on Saturday, even though we played well and we put a lot of passes together, I'd love to know our pass percentage rate because I bet it's really high. I still felt like we were under pressure.
They had a lot more position. It was like 60%.
Was it?
Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I feel like when Spearing's got his back to the game, he doesn't seem that confident to me. When he's looking forward, he's great. But when he's got to use his head and we don't seem to find the space very well or play those triangles very well. And I think when them balls go out wide to our wingers, we seem to panic a little bit because Nandula's, it's not as if he's going 100 metres in 10 seconds, is he? And they seem to be under pressure a little bit. And I feel like as Bristol Rovers tired throughout the game, those spaces became more available and we had more time on the ball. And I feel like we controlled it a little bit better as the game went on.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. Go back to the game then. 42 minutes. Alnwick saves. Anik saves shot straight at him from...
Just think Anik Castle, Harry Potter.
I've actually never seen any of the Harry Potter films.
Me neither. Just you, Tim.
Is there another analogy I can use? Anik.
I think one.
What about Anik in Skywalker? I'll use that one. I don't remember that. Do you? He saved a shot straight at him from Liam Sercombe, apparently. So yeah, end of the first half. I think we were reasonably good value for our win. The penalty itself, I think you always seem ultra confident. It was if it had gone the right way, he'd have saved it.
It wasn't in the corner. It wasn't down the middle. It was he just hit it. I mean, he made sure he got it on target. But a goal's a goal. But it wasn't in my mind. It wasn't a very good
Glenn
penalty.
might be able.
Listen, I got a lot of positives to say about Blackpool from Saturday.
Yeah,
but I don't think it was.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, if the keeper's gone the right way, he's probably saved it, hasn't he?
100%.
Right. So you still feel confident when he's stepping up to take the pens, though, don't you?
Yeah, he seemed pretty calm, didn't he? And maybe just wait till see which way the keeper was going. Like you say, it wasn't a great penalty, but it's over the line, so they all count.
At that moment, when he's stepping up to take that pen, do you think at any point going through his mind is the thoughts of, this is such a massive game because of what's happened behind the scenes, we've got a whole new team, new manager, the new owners watching me as captain? Do you think any of that played?
Quite possibly, because it's what I was thinking. It was like, it's a bit massive, this, isn't it? But he seemed pretty calm, didn't he? So if he was thinking that, he hit it quite well. But yeah, I'm sure he will have been thinking it, because like you say, that's all it was. So it must have been in his mind.
But it takes balls as the captain, I suppose, to step up and do
step
it.
Up, yeah, absolutely.
Right, so yeah, we went in 1-0 up at going into the second half, and only 1 minute in, Spearing again, a great cross, put it into the corridor of uncertainty, they call it, don't they, where the defence can't get it away and it's a bit too far out for the keeper, and Angelo with a superlative diving header.
You
didn't miss it, did you?
No, well, no, I didn't.
I did.
I nearly did.
I did.
Because we were talking to Brett Ormerod, and like I say, he was having a good chat about the previous regime, and we were like, we're gonna have to go because the game's started. And I literally,
sorry, Brett, I've got things to do.
I know, never thought I'd say that. So you come out on the top of the West, back into the.
Are you in the M block then?
Yeah. So literally, as I just came up to start to see the pitch, just saw Nangele like literally flying through the air and connecting with it. And I was like,
like a Superman.
Yeah. So I didn't see the build up, but just saw the goal, and it was brilliant. Like I said, I thought he had a great game.
Tim, any thoughts on that?
I can only rely on the Quest coverage, having gone down into the north and the west with the bus to Ashley to.
You're on a quest with Ashley to get another beer, were you?
Yeah.
So you had to watch it on Quest.
So by the time we came out, it was probably 47, 48 minutes. To be honest, we just didn't realise. I was saying today we could almost like do with. Like the old days when they used to like send a buzzer through downstairs where to tell you the game's about to
start.
Bell
goes off 30 seconds.
Yeah. So we didn't have that. So I got a bit because it was only 4 o'clock. I thought, we won't be out yet, and then I came out and we were 2-0 up. So, but having seen it back, I've got to say, I agree. It was a fantastic cross in. And a great header from what looked like quite an acute angle as well to me. And so I thought he directed it really well.
The keeper didn't even try, did he? He just sort of jumped up in resignation.
It was a bit bizarre because even when you're taking a header at that angle, you'd think that the keeper's still in the best place to make the save as regards going in. But whether he was wrong-footed by maybe half... I must admit, I haven't watched where the keeper was. But maybe the keeper came out and then got caught in no man's land. I don't know, but I've got to say, and I've got to endorse everything that's said about Grangelo because
it's Nangelo, Tim.
Well, is that a touche? That
it certainly is.
So from when we were at Luton and at Bradford, he had superb games, but I don't think we've really seen him perform like that at home up to now, and. I was very, very impressed.
He held the ball up very well.
He did. I thought he did all of that stuff that sometimes
he
he's a little bit.
Yeah,
you get a bit frustrated with him maybe where it's 1 or 2 touches to control it, or he's not quite putting a shift in. But I thought on Saturday it was almost as if perhaps the people who are on the bench, he's maybe sending a bit of a message out to them. Look, you might have cost £500,000 or whatever it is, but I'm going to make you fight for the shirt, and that's what you want. Competition for places is what you want.
It was interesting early on in the game as Delfonso and Nandule went to hook up on a little move just inside the opposition box, and Nandule had the ball and he was waiting for Delfonso to make the run, and Delfonso never made the run. Nandule played the ball and it just went out for a goal kick.
I remember that.
And you can see they were looking at each other and a few little words were said. Yeah. And I thought, don't let this be your partnership now for the remainder of the game, the remainder of the season, or whatever. And they seemed to pick it up really well. I thought the three of them up there, particularly Kai was sublime. Yeah. As a three, I felt like their defence really struggled. I don't know if they saw the team sheet beforehand, Bristol Rovers. I don't know if they saw it beforehand. But I don't think they were anticipating having the three in the middle with almost like a trequartista in a way, with 2 strikers and 2 wingers as well. I don't think they knew how to handle that, and no. I think the corridor of uncertainty, is that what you called it?
That's the one.
I think Nandule is such a massive guy. If you start putting balls into the box there, he's going to get on the end. He's going to get some goals, definitely.
Yeah. Kai, he was switching the wings quite a few times throughout the game as well. That always. Puts other teams' plans to cock, doesn't it? Well, Blackpool used to do it, didn't we, with Inson Phillips?
Yeah, I think you create uncertainty with the opposition defence because they don't know whether to go with a man or whether to switch over, and as much as they will try and communicate, there'll be points when they're literally crossing over where it is there's a little bit of uncertainty, and I think that fluidity up front is what you're looking for. I mean, Delfonso for me has been the player of the pre-season. And whilst I don't think he had an outstanding game, I think he had a very, very competent game. And as we said, that that forward three just seemed to interlink so well. And I was very, very impressed, I've got to say, from back to front. I also thought Thompson in midfield quietly had a very, very competent game where he just did the easy things, a little bit like Vaughan used to, just did the easy things, played people in, won the ball, passed it. And you need players like that.
I said to the guy I was sat with, I said, is this a new player? Because I was like, who is he? Is he a new player? But he had a really good game. I thought very tidy, and he looked from the few times I'd seen him last season, he's a vastly improved player. Yeah,
no, it was for me. He's really maturing into a special player, and nothing fancy. You don't need to play the ball fancy all the time, do you? You just need to keep possession, and he seems to have the knack of doing that at the moment.
I mean, and as the game wore on, Bristol Rovers, they became a lot more frustrated with the play. Did you see them arguing that when one of them should have been playing the winger just stood there and their centre mid, he was going berserk, wasn't he? Because he was waiting for him to make the run. There was no run forthcoming, and then they were arguing. And the other thing that stood out for me was when he was called Smith, their little player. He was like a little Jack Russell, wasn't he?
All over
Curtis tail. Yeah. And eventually he was given a piggyback and almost body slammed him to the floor. Didn't he? That's hilarious.
Yeah, they were getting frustrated with it, but I think us scoring the second so
killed the game
quickly after. Yeah, because they've just had the team talk. They're coming out. They're up for it, thinking they can get back into it. Boom! It's 2-0. It's kind of like I think the head's just dropped.
Soul destroying, I suppose, isn't it?
I think the discipline at that point, with those two young little lads that they had. I know when Rocky came on, he's like a bloody steam train. He's massive, that guy, isn't he? You would have thought that the attackers have the upper hand, and to be fair, they got themselves into a few really good positions where I know they hit the post right at the end off a ricochet, but there was another one where was it Smith? Did you say
Smith?
Yeah, he blazed it over the bar from 9 yards.
His head had gone, hadn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, but you play against superior teams and you're going to get punished there, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that defensively I thought we were really solid right across the line. I'm very impressed with Blackpool defensively.
Yeah, I mean, what stood out for me as well, getting bodies in front of the ball when they did get shooting opportunities, but we were always there, weren't we? Getting the blocks in, getting tackles in, and we were very, it's like Glenn just said, we were impressive across the whole pitch really. And the good thing is we've got strength in depth and we've got good players sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy from Carlisle didn't even feature, he didn't even make the bench, did he?
Yeah.
Is it Devitt? Is he the Carlisle guy?
Yeah.
So we've got all these other players to come. We've got obviously Nuttall reportedly 750 plus signing sitting on the bench, so it's all good, isn't it? It's a very positive start.
Yeah.
With that in mind, sorry Tim, with that in mind, in fact, you can answer this. With that in mind, with the transfer deadline day on Thursday, looking at Blackpool where we are now, A, where do you think we'll finish? And B, who do you think we'd need to bring in order to take us from effectively a mid-table team to push on and make a go of it?
I would, if I was going to improve the team in any shape or form, it would be to have somebody centre mid who can split defences in half. And I think that come back, because I think looking at Kai and what I suspect Nuttall's going to be like as a player. Obviously, we only saw him for 10 or 15 minutes, didn't we? But we're going to have a lot of pace in that team.
Yeah.
And if we can play players through with the defence splitting passes, we're going to get behind them, I think. And as an alternative to going up front, then laying it off. And I think that if I was looking anywhere, that's where I would look. And I would be surprised if we don't have our eye out on somebody somewhere.
Yeah. So you still think we need to strengthen them? We still need to bring people
But we're not far off, though. I mean, I picked up on that point you just said before. When you look at the starting team, I think 2 or 3 players who you might have thought actually up the game on Saturday massively, and that's probably because they know they're part of it is that they're under the competition's there. Yeah. And then you look at the bench; it looks really, really strong. I think Nuttall particularly is going to really perform this year. I mean, you saw the comments from the Blackburn Rovers, fans when we signed him. Actually, we were doing this when we signed him. We missed it.
Well, we'd just done predictions as to where we think we'd finish. And
I'd love to know.
I'd said this was before we knew we'd signed Nuttall, and I'd said 8th, and then as soon as the show finished, said we've signed Nuttall. If I'd known that, I think we're looking at playoffs, and like Tim says, if you could get that creative midfielder as well, then I think the playoffs is in. It's only one game in, but there's no reason why we can't be right up there challenging.
I mean, I thought we were a vast improvement on what we saw in those final 6-7 games of the season. For me, it was chalk and cheese. Every department was vastly improved.
It's probably because the pitch wasn't like a beach.
There is that as
like
well.
It was the last 5 games of last season.
Yeah, it is a big factor, but I still think it was
technically they looked better.
Yeah,
I think Grayson teams are always very, very well disciplined at the back, and I think that they set out with a game plan. And he's proved it. We talked about this on the last show, didn't we? He's proved himself as a manager more than capable of getting a whole series of teams out of this division. And if you look at Luton last year, they were very well organised. Weren't that special, but they had somebody could put the ball in the back of the net and they didn't let goals in.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what wins you games. Mm-hmm. And I think Barnsley have done that as well, haven't they? Barnsley have went all through last season into this, and I think they've half the games they haven't conceded a goal. Well, you know what's going to happen if you're not conceding a goal. More often than not, you're going to win the game. And if we can keep it tight at the back like we did on Saturday, then that will make a massive, massive difference in relation to our prospects.
Right, that was our thoughts on the Bristol Rovers game. We'll take a bit of a break now and move on to what the fans thought. Right, this is what I put this out onto the fan base, or the listener base, rather. I've got a few responses, so I'll just read them out, and you guys just want to chip in with any comments or words of wisdom relating to what was said. So, firstly, this is a mixture of names and usernames. So we've got the first one came in from MG Whittard. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong there. Whittard, maybe. His man of the match was Kai Kai, and he said, impressed with the commitment and effort from the team. Goes off on a bit of a tangent here, says we need the rose re-lettering, too many are missing. Is that a fair comment, Tim?
I think in the north there is a bit of a complaint that the numbers aren't particularly legible.
I think you mentioned this last pod, didn't you?
Yeah,
that had been done.
Yeah, no. What I mentioned had been done was all the yellow, all the steps. But I've got to be, there probably is some justification for that. To be fair, most certainly around where we were sat in, because obviously those seats have been in probably for quite a long time now, and it's something we're going to have to look at. Again, it's on the list, the long list that we'll prioritise and we'll get through it all, no doubt.
Yeah. So chill out and have a sandwich, MG.
Just needs patience, doesn't it? If you think of how much investment has been made into the infrastructure of the club over the last 5 years, it's just gone to neglect, And I think obviously Simon's come in and he will be forever heralded in this town as a hero, like no matter what happens now to the football club. But I think my biggest bugbear is the sound system. Like it's awful. It is so bad. And I used to do the announcing a few years ago, and you can't hear yourself. You just can't. It's. I mean, you go and watch AFC Filed and it's absolutely crystal clear, and you go and watch Fleetwood and it's brilliant, and then you go to Blackpool. But it's the same with the training pitch, same with the dressing rooms. It's just going to take
interesting.
Take time,
I did a little informal mini survey. I know the club are going to be doing something more comprehensive, but I just did one on ABFTT, Twitter and Facebook, and I got about 500 replies between the three media. And by far and away, the biggest bugbear is the tannoy system. And I haven't sat in the north for quite a long time, but you just can't even hear it in the north. It's just when I've ever sat in the west or the south, it doesn't really seem to have been as bad. But at the north, it's very noticeable.
There is a little tannoy preset on this mixer. Has that worked? No. Yeah. Been an audio snob myself. It's. You can't even hear what he's saying. It's really loud. And actually, something just popped in my head now. Did anyone else notice he was going on about the Man of the Match awards as they're taking a corner? Anyone else hear that? I remember thinking, what's he doing? Shouting that out when they're taking a corner. If they'd have put the players off and they've equal, they've got one back.
I think it's a very minor idiosyncratic thing, isn't it?
It's a daft time to do it, though. Isn't it? It is an important part of the game.
It's human being, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think on such a perfect day, it's almost like people just try and find something to moan about, and it's like he read this thing at the wrong time. I don't know if he did. I couldn't hear anything. But the attendance, I don't feel like an attendance was read, or I didn't hear how many were there.
We need to get that up on the scoreboard, actually, don't we? Normally, the crowd goes up on most scoreboards, and we've now got this all singing, all dancing scoreboard. And I'm sure in the coming weeks, coming months, we'll get certain standard things in. And the people who are operating it will get more experienced and know and use it a little bit more than we perhaps are doing at the moment.
When I used to do it, they used to text me. They used to text me.
What do you mean you used to do it? You used to do the scoreboard, did you?
No, I used to do the announcing.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Long story.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
When I was sat in M Block, that was 2013-14 season, was it?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was 15.
Was it?
Oh. It was my first game was against Leeds United on Boxing Day, live on Sky. I've never been more nervous. I know, I know. But they used to text me the number. They used to text me the attendance, and it got to a point where I'd just be ashamed to read it because they'd go, "Today's attendance is 8,572," and you'd go, "There's no more than 800 people in this place." Like you could count them all by finger, and it just like. People knew that I was lying. Yeah. I knew that what they were sending me was a lie, but you had to do it. I got told off by Paul Ince for looking at my phone because they wouldn't let me go on the Wi-Fi to get the half-time scores. And Paul Ince's results were that bad that he blamed me. I got pulled into Matt Williams' office and got my bum spacked for that.
For what? Say that again.
For going on my phone because I needed to get the half-time scores because there was no other way to do it. They wouldn't let me.
What's wrong with that?
Well, he just needed an excuse because he wasn't a very good manager. A very good player. Very good player. Not a very good manager.
Oh, that's very interesting.
It's very random.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Right, moving on. Oh God, look at this name. Tim, you read that one out. Angelo Saponari, is it?
That's Angel BFC off AVFT.
It's like an Italian name, isn't it? Angelo Saponier. I'll go with that. Terrific day in general. Was worried that the team would buckle under the pressure of a big crowd. Actually, it was the second biggest crowd in the in Division 1. Did anyone else know? It was behind Sunderland, so
that's very good.
Yeah, that's positive. But they did not disappoint. Every player gave 100%. To see the whole director's box animated and singing was amazing. Great first game for Simon Sadler, who so far appears to be our dream owner. Can't believe how far we've come. When you look back to January, the future is bright and tangerine. It was a great moment when the Blackpool fans started by the muckers started singing Simon Sadler, he's one of our own, and he stood up and gave a fist in the air, and that was a
brought a tear to the eye.
It did. It was what an utter difference to the previous regime. They'd never had their names sung, had they? Ever?
Not in a positive way.
They had it sung plenty, but so they'd want to stand and wave at us for it.
I mean, I was like kind of, because I sit in the southwest, I was almost sat in a line where he was, and he was loving it, wasn't he?
Well, I was quite high up in M Block, so I was literally kind of just down to. He was behind me to the left, and just had a huge grin on his face the whole game. Yeah, he stood up, and you could just see. I think he was emotional as well. He's a fan, isn't he? So,
when he got his name sung,
yeah. I mean, what a massive buzz! Though.
Oh yeah.
I texted him just before about 12 o'clock just to wish him luck and everything, and I said. I basically said, I think under your custodianship, we're going to him for a very exciting ride, and really looking forward to it. And I said, I think I might have a bit of a tear in my eye at 3 o'clock. And he replied and said, thanked me, and said, I think I may have more than one tear in mine. And you could just, he was buzzing for it, wasn't he? And it's everybody's dream when you grow up supporting a football team that one day you might own it and be able to look after it, and most certainly. Everything he's done so far and everything I think he's going to be doing going forward will, I'm sure, justify the support he received from the stands on Saturday.
How's he? I mean, I assume he's not had any experience in football before.
No, definitely not.
So, what's he doing now in terms of like advisors? Because I mean, there's a transfer window about to come up, and he's never run a football club before. So,
he's got the board in place, hasn't he? Yeah. Who have got a heck of a lot of experience.
Michael and Ben, isn't it?
Yeah. So
very big clubs.
I mean, from the point of view of the structure, he's obviously spending half his time in Hong Kong. But I think he said at on the BBC broadcast. That they did an interview, didn't they, on Saturday morning, and he was saying actually it works quite well because he can do his day job and then liaise with the people at Blackpool in the evening when that's during the day for us.
Yeah.
So that and doing the job he does, I'm sure he's on a 4 or 5 hour sleep pattern anyway, because just that's the way you work in that type of game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was in today, not to meet him, but I think he's going back home. But he was in conference with Michael and Ben, and Michael and Ben are very, very experienced. Michael's acted as CEO at United and Inter Milan, and I think what he doesn't know about player negotiations probably isn't worth knowing, and Ben as well, extremely experienced.
Have they got the fax machine working?
I mean, we've got
deadline.
We've got Simon Grayson in with an extra 13 years managerial experience, and he's obviously developed a hell of a lot of contacts in the game, and he's a lot more wise now. He's more knowledgeable. He must have things in so many pies and have agents' phone numbers. So it's great that we've got Larry back, isn't it?
I think we said that, didn't we, the last podcast, that he's probably the most experienced manager in this division at this level, and what his contact network will be huge.
Yeah.
And particularly I think with the clubs like Blackburn, I would think the reason we've got Nuttall over the line is because of Larry. I think he's no doubt had an influence there. I'm sure. Obviously, we've had we can probably match his ambitions, hopefully, as regards where he wants to be, and it's an exciting place to be at Blackpool Football Club at the moment. Let's not beat about it. I mean, I know the atmosphere on Saturday was commented very much upon by the away fans, and there can't be any better experience for a football than playing in front of a really partisan crowd who are basically roaring everything you do, and that's got to play a part in people's thought process, I would think.
Certainly has. Dave from Weston, his man of the match was Tilt, said, good solid organised performance, the team looked comfortable, and it was good to see them closing down the Bristol players very quickly. I noticed that as well. I have great faith in Simon Grayson. I think we're in for an exciting season. Outstanding atmosphere generated by the fans, and it's good to see improvements to the stadium. Simon Sadler and his board are doing a great job up the pool. Don't think we can add anything to that, Kerr, that we've already said.
Word for word.
Yeah.
There was a couple of people I spoke to in the pub after the game. I actually went to the number 10 where Tim went before the game, and there's a couple of people who, I don't know, I don't really like this opinion, but were saying that they'll never accept Simon Grayson because he's been at Preston.
We said this we covered this last week.
Crazy.
Didn't we?
Did you?
Nick said that. Yeah,
It's
misguided, isn't it?
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a job to him, and I'm sure he's a mortgage to pay like the rest of us. If that's going to be a reason,
what
why bother?
What was the beef? What was they were just
He celebrated a Preston goal at Bloomfield Road. I think was the he was over enthusiastic.
He's not going to endear himself to the home support, is he? By just
but then there's the same thing with Steve Bruce in the Sunderland and Newcastle situation. So I don't know, maybe bad blood runs deep in this case. But I think it's been, again, picking up on insignificant moaning issues when actually it's a great thing that transitional.
There's a little thing I saw on Saturday, actually, just going back to the sort of stadium improvements, and it's actually nothing that's cost any money to speak of, but just having those 3 Blackpool flags flying from the masts above Jimmy's statue. It's just, I saw them being put up on Friday when I was leaving work, actually, because they had a cherry picker there to do it, and I just thought, those are the little touches that shows you're actually owned by somebody who cares.
Yeah.
And no doubt either he or Brett have said, look, what, we've got those flag poles there, why haven't we got Blackpool flags on them? And I don't know whose idea it was, but it's a simple thing, and but so effective. It just adds that little bit of colour.
Well, the one thing that really bugged me from the previous version, well, there's lots of things that bugged me, but the signage on the stadium, it bugged a lot of people. What other football clubs do you have to pay? Fans have to pay to have the club's badge on its own stadium. I mean, it still boggled my mind that, and it still does. But anyway, we're not going to talk about them anymore, are we? Basil Robbie said his man of the match again was Kai. I was very impressed on the whole. Back 5 solid, got some terrific blocks in. Midfield, okay. We played through the thirds more than we did last season. Game, we've already said that. We mentioned the same. Front players all caused them problems. We looked pacey and strong and managed the game pretty well. Slow starts, though, but if we are playing 3-5-2, I think we have to recognise that Feeney is far better with the ball than he is without it. But he does have the positive mindset needed for that position. It made you want to see more. That's a very pertinent point, I think, though.
I like Feeney.
Right. He's an
Aaron Lennon. He's an Aaron Lennon type.
You either love him or hate him type.
I like him.
It's different. I think I said this last year. I think he reminds me a bit of GTF. Not as quick feet, but he's got very fast feet, and he did put a lot of good balls in.
He did, yeah. And I think with those type of players, you need that in your team who's going to try and take someone on, and it's not always going to happen. Sometimes they'll come up against a very good defender and they'll have him in his pocket, but you need those type of players because when it comes off, they can make a real difference to the team.
I feel like with Feeney, I mean, obviously he's a very wide player, but I feel like he always goes to the byline. I'd love, just once, to see him on the edge of the 18-yard box and actually cut in and try and bend one in, or just have a shot. If it balloons, no one cares. But I think once you start getting 50th minute, an hour in, I feel like he starts getting quite predictable as a player. I don't feel like he has as diverse a toolbox as a winger as players of a better caliber. But I think if he can bring that into his game, I think he'd be an absolute handful with Kai as well.
We need to get Tony Ellis on the coaching staff, don't we? He was adept at cutting in, wasn't he?
I think we're going to find Kai cutting in, and I suspect Nuttall will be the type of cutting as well.
Kai did try that a few times.
I can see that happening, and also when Hardy's on as well, I think he's a player who'll cut in. So I've always quite liked that. And he said that Tony Ellis was the master at it, wasn't he? There's so many goals he scored doing that.
I think 99% of goals that Mo Salah scores are cutting in on his left hand side. I don't know if he's just been trained that way, Feeney, that he just doesn't do that, or because I feel like he's a natural outlet. If we're under a bit of pressure and tilt hoops one forward and Feeney's got it, he always seems to go to the line. He never seems to just crack it 20 yards in front of him and outdo the defender for pace. He always just seems to kind of take it and then hold it up and then wait, at which point all their defenders have got back, and it's you've got to find Nandolay's head through the corridor of justice. What was it? Corridor
uncertainty,
that's the one.
So if you listen, Liam, start cutting in. All right, Dave Holden, man of the match, Tilt or Edwards. Come on, Dave, you're on the fence there. Tilt or Edwards, which one was it? But I'll say yeah, they were both good anyway. Excellent in defence after a slight lapse early first half, like the wing backs, and they both did their jobs, tracking back, although tired towards the end, which is understandable given its first fixture of the season. Midfield were good, but still we need that extra creative player to unlock a team's defence, as Glenn said. Clayton Short, man of the match was Tilt. Several good performances, but Tilt was head and shoulders above the rest. Superb. Heard a funny conversation, a comparison. An apt comparison on Saturday, a post-match BBQ. Given the position Feeney played in, often just in front of the full-back, and given relative attacking freedom with a sprinkling of defensive duties, is Grayson lining up Feeney to be the new AD Forbes? That's a bit harsh.
He's a bit taller.
Yeah.
AD Forbes was, he kind of put his head down and run, didn't he? He's kind of the weak link almost on that Grayson side, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a popular player though. Remembering at the time, but yeah, I think Feeney's maybe got a little bit more about his game than that.
Fair enough. Right, I'm just gonna have to cut the comments out now because we're going to start run over. So apologies to Mark Gray, Adam Kinder, and Dave H, but we've got to move on to Tangerine topics. Tangerine topics. First one. It missed our topics last week by a hair's breadth. Joe Nuttall signed the last podcast. Very exciting prospect, Nick. And is the forward line now complete?
Yeah, I think so. Like Tim said earlier, you've got the likes of Fons who, seem to raise his game. Nandulay, Hardy on the bench as well. So I think that's an area where we look pretty well covered. Undisclosed fee, but we're led to believe it's a significant amount of money, a good chunk of the money we got from Mark Bowler. And it's a great way to do things, isn't it? You know, you get a player in, sell them for a decent amount, and then reinvest a good amount of it. So from that point of view, things are looking positive. Looks like it's given the other players in the forward line a bit of a boost as well, fighting for the shirt. So, yeah, all good from my point of view.
Next piece of news, Rocky Bushieri, 19-year-old centre-back from Norwich, season-long loan, only signed from Norwich in the summer, for Norwich in the summer. Looks a unit, Glenn.
He does look a unit. Do you know who he reminded me of? He reminded me of a I've got to be quite democratic here, a stockier Jordan Lukaku. He's a big lad, he's a big unit, but there was a...
Who's Jordan Lukaku?
Lukaku's brother, Romelu's brother.
Oh, I've heard of Romelu.
Yeah.
Where does his brother play?
Plays in Belgium.
Oh, does he? Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
not being an international football.
Well, okay. Anyway, he's absolutely massive.
Oh, yeah, Daddy Shitty.
Yeah. But he plays at left back, but he is absolutely huge.
Right.
There's a situation near the end where they put a through ball through, and Rocky's running with that Smith lad that you mentioned, and he's not even looking at the ball. He's looking at the opposition player, and he just absolutely had him for pace all day, which. It's slightly concerning because I think that the general fashion is to have small, faster players now as an attacking unit in a team. So hopefully, I mean, you can't judge him off 15 minutes off the first game of the season. Hopefully, if his fitness improves, he can get a bit of pace. But
look, it's the strength in depth again, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
And I also think there's going to be some fantastic opportunities to get some songs sung about him with a name like that, isn't there?
Yeah.
I saw something on Facebook. Raggy was doing another song. Which one was it? It was hilarious.
There must be a Rocky theme based song to do for him.
Definitely.
There you go, Glenn. That's your task for the week. To come up with a Rocky bass.
All right.
This time next week.
But there's no words in that.
Yeah, but you can add them though, can't you?
Yeah. That's your challenge. Is the challenge accepted?
Non-committal, Your Honour. Non-committal.
I'm sure Raggy will sort something out anyway.
Yeah. You could do a collaboration with Raggy, like a fusion.
I saw Afro Man in the hairdressers, and
was he having a number one all over?
I don't think he had anything off, to be honest. I felt like he looked the same coming out as he did going in. But he's trying to get me to do some of his poems into song form or something. And it's funny, whenever anything happens with Blackpool on Twitter, I always seem to get a tag going, oh, Game Jam can do this, Game Jam can do this. It's like, my workload is huge at the moment. It's like, yeah, I'll just drop everything and make a Rocky Balboa song. In fact, someone the other day said Rocky Bilbao rather than Rocky Balboa, which really made me laugh.
Is that like a Spanish 4th Division football team?
I think so, yeah.
Tim's been to see him.
Yeah, he's got the scarf.
Oh, yeah. Pin badge.
Oh yeah, it's pin badges.
Pin badges, yeah. It was one of those urban myths, the scarves.
Have you heard of the Timmy 2 scarves?
I got up to Timmy 10 scarves, I think.
What, are you collecting scarves?
Well, when I go on my trips to Germany,
sure,
the rumour was I brought a scarf back from everyone, and
so it started off as Timmy 2 scarves because you started going to JFC.
Have you been to Dortmund Stadium?
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started.
I've heard that's proper intense.
We're here all night.
Did you?
More of a Schalke man myself.
Right,
hang on a minute. Where's the mute button for Tim's channel?
Tune in next week. That's the end of the show. Thanks. Up the pool.
Home shirt debacle. I think we mentioned this last week. No home shirts available until August mid. This sounds like the previous sort of disaster would have happened under the previous regime. Again, it's all the fault of Herrera, isn't it, Tim? And there's rumours going around that they might be replaced for next season. Would you say there's a strong chance of that?
I don't know. It won't be anything I'm involved in decision-wise, but obviously it's disappointing. But it's also quite encouraging how many of the away shirts were being sported on.
Yeah, there was loads
on Saturday.
I love that shirt.
Yeah, I do.
The blue one. It's lovely. Yeah,
I like the goalkeeper one actually.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It's a very, very good one for a goalkeeper shirt. But listen, we were gonna do the away shirts at the end of the month, and the home shirts hopefully we're going to be on sale before, and it's had to be reversed. I think, as we said last week, if that's the worst it gets in pre-season, then and everything is going all right on the pitch, then it's something that hopefully won't detract from everybody's enjoyment of what goes on too much. So let's hopefully when they come on sale, we'll sell those in good numbers as well.
You're always going to have teething problems, aren't you?
Right, yeah.
With anything like, for example, at half time, I saw Scott Kudo downstairs queuing up to get a beer at one of the Foster's Good Call stands, and it was card only. And honestly, bless her, I felt so sorry for her. The girl doing all the beers, she's only about 17. So we're queuing up, and I reckon there's probably 30, 40 people in front of us, and we get about 10 from getting our beer, and the card machine runs out.
Oh, runs out of what?
Of
beer?
No, of what's called the receipt. There's no more paper on it, so she can't take card payments. And on it explicitly says card only. So she goes, "Sorry, guys." And she runs off to wherever she runs off to.
Why do you need a receipt roll? Can't just
apparently you can't take a card payment without having a receipt roll.
Okay.
So we're stood there, and now we're getting towards kind of 5:56. Yeah. So I'm stood there. I'm like, let's just go because I want to watch the game. Ironically, I would have seen the second goal, which I missed. So anyway, she came back. She got a massive round of applause, and she went, "We can't do card anymore. We can only do cash." So everyone's like, I turned to Scott. I said, "Have you got any money on you?" He said, "No." He said, "Have you?" I went, "No, I've only got my card." So next thing, it's like, calling someone you haven't seen for 20 years, going, "Mate, have you got a tenner I can borrow?" So, but like that, it's just a
one of those
teething
things.
issue, and there's probably hundreds of them. I'm sure if you interviewed everyone who went to the game on Saturday, everyone would have had some minor little
gripe.
little gripe. But ultimately, the team played amazing.
And sorry, you know that they're going to be fixed.
Exactly.
We've not got a regime now who don't care.
Yeah.
They'll be taking all of this on board. They'll already know about it, and they'll be, right, what we're going to do to fix it, and that's the positive that comes out.
Did you see they've all they weren't on in the north actually on Saturday, but all the new screens that have gone in on the concourses.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah,
and I believe, I'm not sure it's for Oxford or for Portsmouth, they're going to be feeding the game down live. I think from a certain period before half time and a certain period after half time. So for those of us who get caught on the concourse. Or still in 53. Speaking to Brett,
still quaffing quail's eggs.
You won't miss the goal.
I'm sure there's ways around it. Like for example, with the whole beer situation, you could probably pre-pull, like at 22 or 25 to pre-pull dozens, hundreds of pints of lager, so that you can just give them to people.
Normally, what they do is when they're pre-pouring, they normally go like 2/3 or 3/4 the way up, don't they? And then they refresh it, don't they?
Yeah.
Right? So doesn't go flat.
What about a bottle vending machine or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the bottle bars work well. I mean, when we went round to the West,
they don't, Tim. They don't.
No, well, they do. They do if they've got
on Saturday
the ticket roll in the machines. They do.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think possibly there needs to be 2 people in, and I think they had
feeding the ticket machine. The
receipt
roll.
I think they had a little bit of a staffing issue because I think a lot of the people that were sent by the agency at weekend, again, they're new, but also some of them were quite young and couldn't operate the North Bottle Bar wasn't open, for example. So, but listen, we will work through all these. The people who are dealing with those know the issues. The good thing is Steve Rowland's there feeding everything back every week now. And I always chip in and say my piece, constructively, hopefully come up with some answers as well.
Right, so that's going to nicely segue into this interview with Steve Rowland. Martin Corner now, he's just getting involved with the production of the team. He's going to do some content for us, and Martin interviewed Steve down at Bloomfield Road today at the open training session. So this is what Steve had to say about the session itself and about Saturday in general. So this is Steve Rowland, Blackpool's SLO.
Steve, just try and sum up for me how this summer's gone, and in particular Saturday and also this morning.
So the summer has been predictably hectic. Everybody knew what a gigantic task was facing the board, with first of all Simon coming in, and then another Simon coming in, and then trying to get players in for the start of the season, and with so much to do around the stadium still to get it right. It's not all quite there yet, but I think they've done a magnificent job, and to get 11,000 on Saturday was just superb. And the pitch was great, and the team, I think, performed as well as we'd have hoped, and they look really exciting, some of these players going forward. So we're building momentum here now, and this is Blackpool back, and I think it's going to be a really good season.
Absolutely. This training session this morning was something that I don't think I've ever witnessed before to this extent, and it just felt like another great community event, just another great thing that this board have managed to do over the summer, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody knows we've had this problem about a lost generation of supporters. I've been pushing since really Easter, since, you know, we got the interim board in to try and do something like this to give fans an opportunity to come back, young kids especially. Easter was too soon. I'm pleased we could fit it in before the end of the summer holidays. And it was great to see about 800 people here today, 300 plus kids. Some of them are here for the first time. It's just fantastic. And it's the first. I think we'll do this again because it's, as you say, it's a great way to show the club to the community and for people to start connecting with their football club again. And the more young kids we can get in, the better that is. And the players have responded. They've been great. They've given their time. This is what it's all about.
I was going to say the players, I mean, you would expect this, I guess, because it's a new season, it's a new era, but the players all it looks like a really, really happy camp, doesn't it?
I think so, yes. Everybody is so positive. You could almost feel the waves of positivity around the place. It's great that we got a win under our belts. Shame we're not top of the table, but I think, that can maybe be sorted over the next couple of weeks if the rub of the green goes our way. I think it's going to be a really exciting season, as I said.
It's just the positivity, isn't it? It's something that we've not known. I think in the past, even though the club did well, you always felt that maybe it was built on foundations of sand, whereas this really feels like, it just feels like a parallel universe almost, doesn't it? It's just completely and utterly different.
Yeah, you have to kind of rub your eyes sometimes to figure out that this is really Blackpool. But to be honest, it's where we could and should have been. 10 years ago, we could have built on that. It's going to take a while to get back there. Whether we'll ever get back to the Premier League, I don't know. But I think that as long as people can see that the board is working for the club and for the community, and we're putting on great performances and everyone's trying their best, that's all we want as a family club. And the success on top of that is like the icing on the cake. So Championship, I'm sure it's achievable. Premier League, who knows? But the most important thing is we've got our club back, and it's a fantastic feeling.
Sure. And finally, Simon Sadler on Saturday. When I met him at the Q&A, he struck me as being a very humble, a very shy guy, and I think he is. But even he on Saturday, I think it hit him, didn't it? I think with the crowd chanting his name, he got very excited and very animated. And I think that's great to see that sort of passion, that just overall happiness. I mean, none of us will ever get the opportunity to buy Blackpool Football Club being fans, but what an amazing guy he seems to be, and the overall passion and enthusiasm that he's got is just incredible, really, isn't it? A total contrast to the past.
Yeah, it couldn't be more different, could it? I mean, with somebody who's saying, I've been a fan since 2, and really taking the club to the cleans, if we can put it like that. And now we've got someone who really is a Blackpool fan, who's got the credibility, I think, who's got the vision, and he's not going to do stupid things. He's going to build it. This is going to be sustainable. That's what it's all about. It's about getting a team that will take us forward for the next 2 or 3 years, and building on that. And sure, what a great feeling it must have been for him to watch the team that he supported since a kid now playing basically for him. Yeah, incredible.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for joining us. As I say, I know this is a new role for you. I'm sure you've got a lot on your plate, so I really appreciate your time this morning, and thanks for helping to put on this event. I've really, really enjoyed just being sat here watching these kids be so infused by this football club and be so reconnected with it. I think it's just been a fantastic, makes the heart glow moment, I think, this.
Absolutely, yeah. It's what we've been looking for a long time, and now it's all starting to happen. So thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yep, thanks for doing the podcast, Steve, as well. It's all part of building up the momentum and getting a family club really ticking again.
There you go, guys. We're all part of it. We're all doing our little bits to put this club back on the map, aren't we? But thanks, Steve. Cheers. Appreciate it.
Oh, great interview with Martin there.
Some supporting cast from the Seagulls as well.
I thought he was interviewing one of them at one point.
You can just hear it in people's voices, can't you?
Yeah, makes you glow, doesn't it?
Yeah, like it's tangible. You can taste it. Like it's completely transformed everyone. It's brilliant.
I put an hour out of my diary today to go down. I've put no appointments in this period. Anyway, as it happened, I was quite busy and I had to go down at lunchtime, so I skipped it. And having listened to that, I'm gutted now I didn't go, because if it's right, there was 800 people there. I mean, that's
massive, isn't it? 800. That was as many as going to games last season.
More.
It's incredible. And Steve said we're trying to get it on at Easter, and for logistical reasons, it couldn't happen, and I was quite frustrated at the time because I thought that what a great way to get the kids re-engaged with the club, and the fact that we've been able to manage to do it at the appropriate time when they've finished school and the players are back, and there's we've even got the first win under our belts. It's those young kids that go down there, that they need to reconnect with the players. And they'll be the people who buy the shirts with the names on the back, and the fans of the future, and doing stuff like this is for me the heart of what we should be doing as a football club, and it's I'm really, really chuffed it went so well.
Excellent. Right, just to close things off now, we're over an hour again. It seems to fly by this, doesn't it?
Well, it's because there's a lot of positive things to talk about, isn't there?
It's like we're in some parallel universe.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Quite right, Nicholas. Right, let's move on to finally to our upcoming fixtures. So next Saturday, we're on the crest of a wave, aren't we? Southend away, Saturday, August the 10th. A few stats about Southend, thanks to Martin. They lost to Coventry on their opening day. They're kind of in the doldrums themselves, so maybe that's a good sign. They finished 19th last season. Kevin Bond, Harry Redknapp's former right-hand man in charge. So that's a little interesting, what's the word? Fact.
You sounded like Alan Partridge then. Fact.
Aha!
Nice.
And their danger man is Simon Cox, always a goal threat at level 1.
He played quite well against us in that game, didn't he, Simon Cox? Remember, the homecoming game.
I wasn't there, Tim. I was on a plane flying over the Alps, unfortunately.
I think we can go there with a lot of confidence, though. There's no reason why we can't go and get 3 points, and we should be buzzing for it. You're going, aren't you, Tim?
I'm going. Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, we're going for the big drive on the day there and back. So,
that's a slog.
Me and Ashley are sharing the driving, and there's a few others coming with us. So we're hoping to get an early start, get down there, have a bite to eat, and enjoy the game, and then have the delight of the homeward trip to look forward to.
Ashley will keep you entertained on the 9-hour trip.
Well, it won't be dull. That's for certain.
That'll be because you'll have the Seasiders podcast to listen to.
We will. We are going to. That's my plan. We're going to listen to this one on the way down.
In fact, should we string this out so you can have another hour to listen to?
So if you've
got 5 hours.
If you're Simon Grayson, based on what you've seen on Saturday and how the lads have performed, and they've come to training this morning, Monday morning, what do you say to him? How do you inspire him
for Saturday?
Yeah.
If you don't play as well, you drop.
Well, because they don't need G'ing up, do they? They don't need motivating. Clearly,
I think my focus would just be on looking at what we've done well and where we can improve. And I think we started a bit slow. If you're going to be critical,
yeah.
So I think we can start a game better than we did on Saturday. And I also think we dropped off a little bit when we made the substitutions. So I think that's where I'd be focusing on. You've got to keep the tempo at the right levels. I mean, obviously, you're 2-0 up anyway, and to a certain degree, with your new owner there, you want to protect what you have and make sure you deliver the win that that he so richly deserved, with all the funds and everything that he's put into the club. It was very, very important. I think we won that game. But I do think we've got to believe in ourselves, and I think Simon Grayson will make sure those players mentally. I think Tilt looked far better player. How many people's. The interesting thing is, I think there could be about 6 man of the matches on.
Absolutely,
and the more potential man of the match candidates you have, generally, the better the performances. So, I think if you can get 5 or 6 captains' performances out there from different parts of the pitch, then we could be a team to be reckoned with, I think.
I mean, contrasting to last season, you really struggled to pick a man of the match, didn't you?
Yeah.
In previous games, like you say, multiple men of the match for that game. So, how do we think, gents? Nick, how do you think we're going to fare, and what's your match prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Poole.
I was going to go 2-1 to Poole as well, but now it just sounds like I'm copying. Right, I'm going to say 3-0. I'm going for it.
I'm going to go for another 2-0 win. I'm really confident that we're going to turn them over.
I think I'm quite confident as well. I think 2-0 is a little bit more realistic. I do think we've got a good chance of getting a clean sheet, so I'm sure we'll have egg on our face when we come back.
Do you know what? I was trying to think what we said last week. We should write these down, really, what we said, and then
I think I went 3-0.
I think I said 2-0 actually.
3-0. Sure that's ambitious. 3-0.
Wow. Didn't realise how good we were going to be defensively.
Right, so it's a job for someone out there. So any listeners, I've actually went out on Twitter saying if anyone else wants to get involved in the production of the show, helping out. Our aim is to put this out at least twice a month now. If we could do it every week, it's a big task, and we do need all the help we can get. So thanks a lot to Martin for doing the research for this show. I don't think without his help we certainly wouldn't have got that interview with Steve. And he's helped a lot with the show notes. So if anyone out there does want to get involved in any way, please just contact me. Seasiders Pod on Twitter or john.aspinall73@gmail.com. The more the merrier. Right, finally, we've got Macclesfield Town on the following Tuesday, which is August the 13th. Sol Campbell, their manager. Martin's putting these notes. Great opportunity for fringe players such as Divot, Tollett, etc. Very well priced game. Only £10 for adults, £8 for over 65s, and £5 for kids. So what's not to like there?
No, I think I might be doing a bit of corporate with Nick on that game because
I'm on holiday.
The Seasiders Business Club that we have.
Can I have your corporate, Nick?
I have a box, so
it counts for cup games.
Sorry, Tim, go on.
No, I was just saying the Seasiders Business Club that meets on a Wednesday morning.
What's this?
We have a business club that meets on Wednesday morning in the President's Suite at 7:30 in the morning for an hour and a bit, and we're just trying to make sure that we keep business in Blackpool as much as possible by working with each other. And some of them that group are sharing a box this year. So there's a few spare games. We actually gave Saturday's game to Trinity Hospice, and somebody there and the family enjoyed hospitality because the way they've worked it is there's 20 games that they've paid for, and there's 3 spare. So there's 3 charitable games, but we're also going to have and the odd cup game. We're going to have a bit of a social for the group. So I think I might, if I'm invited, I might be there next Tuesday.
A bit mean if
is
you're not.
Is this game against Macclesfield a cup game? Because I know I've got a cup game in the next.
Is it the Carabao Cup?
Carabao Cup,
Carabao,
isn't it?
Called Carabao. Yeah. I need to work on my pronunciations, don't I?
Because we've got a Tuesday, then a Tuesday and the Saturday, haven't we?
So that's after the Southend game, isn't it?
Yeah. And then we've got Oxford on that Saturday. Yeah,
we have. Got my mate who I work with, he's an Oxford fan, so I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, I'll be taking Monday off if we get beat.
I feel like these are winnable games. I don't feel like we're coming up against any of the big boys early.
We've actually got, I think, quite a kind start to the season.
Absolutely.
I think Portsmouth is the first big test.
But by that point, we could have 6 points, 7 points. I mean, maybe even 9 points.
We could have a perfect 10.
And then after Oxford as well, we'll have the seats at the bottom of the East open again after that for the next home game. So that should be push the capacity up a little bit, hopefully.
Right, so it's all good. Right, as you can hear that music kicking in, that indicates it's the end of the show. So another fabulous show, and it's great to have all this positivity, isn't it?
It is indeed.
So thanks a lot, Glenn, for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for
your
having me.
superlative tones on the microphone.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Nick.
it.
Pleasure as always.
Thanks, Timothy.
Thank you.
And all remains to be said is thanks for downloading, thanks for listening, and when we shout this, come away from the mic a bit, 'cause it clips and makes it hurts people's ears, and we don't want to be hypocrites and say we've got bad audio, do we? So, un, deux, trois, up the pool.